Hey everybody, it's Wade with 365 Thermal, and today I'm going to switch it up a little bit. We're going to be talking September coyote hunting strategies. I know it's kind of, 3 weeks into September here when I'm doing this, but this will really help you out, I feel, within the next week or two, moving on maybe into the next coming months, whenever you see what we're getting into, how I explain it, and how it'll probably help you moving forward. Check it out. So I know that I said that this is a September coyote hunting tip and trick video, but this really pertains to majority of the fall. This is really just getting started into it. So we're going to be talking about locating, pressured coyotes, proximity, call sequences, you name it, we're going to go through it on this. And hopefully this will help you guys be a lot more successful in the field. That being said, number one, you're talking about pressured coyotes. Now, most people think pressured coyotes only comes from coyote hunters. While the fall is here and it's cooling off, and all the states and a lot more people are getting back out there, that is not necessarily what I'm talking about. Something to keep in mind for majority of the United States, Midwest especially, maybe not in certain ones on coastal areas and stuff like that, but something that you should be mindful of is the fact that right now there is so much human activity in the outdoors compared to what it just was for the last several months that these coyotes are getting bumped around at a rapid rate. I know in my area, for instance, they're starting to pick crops. Okay, so you're talking, corn already got cut for silage. Now they're going to start picking that and the beans, the soybeans. That stuff's going to start coming out. And for the summer months, a lot of these coyote families have been living in the cornfields. A lot of people think that coyotes live in dens year round. That is not true. A lot of people think that they, need that source of cover, so to speak, or something like that. Brush piles, while they can, they don't always. Most of the time, it's very, very thick, little woodlots or cornfields where I'm at. So that's going to be going away, right? So it's being picked. You got to also think about all the different farm equipment farmers getting out there. A lot of them will go out and they'll mow the edge of their fields before they actually start the harvest season. So you get all this activity just from the farmers moving through there. They'll still be there, but they're still getting pressured from a human outside source that they've not received for several months. And now it's at a constant, or maybe they're leaving and losing their actual living space. If they were living in a cornfield, now that's gone. Where are they going to go? You know what I'm saying? They know the areas around there. They're most likely not going to shift too far off, at least initially, unless they don't have any other cover available. But I find that most of the time that's not true, because if there's no other cover readily available, most of the time the coyotes are not living in those cornfields right there. So, just saying, they are going to be moving. Most of the time, it's not too far if you already have them located or you've hunted them previously. The next thing to think about is hunters, but not coyote hunters. What about deer hunters? How many of you guys have been out there prepping, putting up deer stands, cutting trails, cutting shooting lanes, putting on, touching up food plots and putting up deer blinds, you name it? There is a giant wave of human activity in the woods right now. Some states are even already open for archery season, and I'm pretty jealous, I'm not going to lie. So ours doesn't open up until October 1st. I can't wait. We've got about a week and a half, and we'll be there. So I don't go out a whole lot in the super early days. It's still really hot here. We've been doing, 80 and 90 degrees, unfortunately, but I still look forward to it and still get out there just to kind of spend a little time in the woods. But that being said, again, that's a whole lot of human activity that was not there previous, all right? So you guys got to think about this whole time. These coyotes are going to start getting pushed around progressively more and more as we get into more of the deer seasons, okay? So we'll start archery seasons, then it'll roll into, youth seasons where they have youth firearm. Iowa Youth Firearm was this weekend. Then going into that, you'll have the actual gun seasons for everybody else, right? So there's a constant evolution here happening where there's more and more human activity in the beginning of these fall months until it gets really cold, and then it starts to taper back off. Okay, so A lot of people have troubles this time of the year calling coyotes, and they're like, I can't get them to respond, I can't find them, they won't howl back, stuff like that. Think about what's going on in your area for that time of the year. Did archery season open up? Are the farmers pressuring those properties? Stuff like that. The little things, the coyotes will still be there, but now they're getting pressured. Okay? So, something else, you think about it too. A lot of times in the fall, you get a lot of side-by-side rides, stuff like that. People want to really enjoy the outdoors. They're getting away from maybe the boats and the barbecues a little bit, but still want to do outdoor activities, stuff, related to fall weather. And that's all going to pressure your coyotes, guys. Just something to think about. Moving on, another thing in the coyotes world right now, they're going through what we would mostly consider to be like a family bust up. If you guys listen to, like Tori Cook and Fox Pro podcast, stuff like that, they will go in a great depth as to what that actually means. But essentially, the pups are getting to an age now where they're being pushed out by the alpha male and female, the mom and the dad. They're trying to push their pups out. So now these pups, amongst maybe even losing their cornfield that they were living in, now they're being pushed out of the other space that they would have probably lived in had they been able to actually reside there with the parents, all right? So then you get more transients, they're moving around a lot more. And on top of all the farm pressure and all the other humans out there deer hunting and stuff, it's kind of a chaotic time for them if you guys really think about all this. So they're trying to find a new home range. Now, how do you combat this, right? You're like, well, you listed off a whole boatload of problems, but how am I going to fix this? So 2 key factors to this that I think, in my opinion, will help you be more successful with all of this in mind. Number 1, locate the coyotes. Even if their lips are tight and they don't want to, howl back that much, go semi-often just to locate, not to hunt, just to locate, and go try to locate the coyotes. Whether that be at night, you take your call out there and you do a set of howls or, a group howl, something like that, a coyote pair, if you will. Something to try to get them to spark up and actually howl back. You don't have any luck? Cool. Leave. Try it again another day. I would try to do this on a fair weather days if they're, being real lip tight and don't want to howl back or anything. Try to do it on good fair weather days. That really seems to improve the odds that they're going to howl back majority of the time. And if that doesn't work, you could always put out, trail cameras, stuff like that, just to try to find the coyotes. Now, once you've got them found, what you really need to understand is with all this pressure and stuff, and especially the months that they've just been going through, for those of you that don't summer hunt, the coyotes are not going to travel far yet. Okay? So if they hear you howling, a mile down the road, they may howl back. The odds of them going through all of the different fields and stuff that are still not picked and everything, for those of you that summer hunt, that that's probably not going to happen. I shotgun hunt a lot in the summers, and proximity is everything. And I make that point to everyone. That matters a lot when night hunting and in the winter months too. I think that the 2 number 1 factors pertaining to if you're going to be successful on your hunt every single time you go is wind direction and proximity. If you can get the wind in your favor to where it's not blowing towards the coyotes that you know where they're at, and you're close enough, you're going to see a coyote. Whether you shoot it or not, that's completely up to you. But you get close enough, and almost any coyote is going to come in on it. All right. So that being said, you need to be mindful again of your area. What does that mean to you? So here in the Midwest, like I said, we got a lot of crop fields still in and everything like that. If the coyotes that you're calling to are over 200 yards away in crop fields and stuff, right now when they're being pressured and stuff, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of success. Just being honest, there are exceptions to the rule. I would maybe push that out to 300 yards in certain scenarios, but that's really pushing it because that's a lot of cover for them to go through, guys. Like, you want to think about a coyote trying to run through a cornfield 300 yards out. That's going to take them a whole lot of time to get there and a whole lot of effort. Not saying that it won't happen, because it does happen, but the closer that you can get to them, the more success that you're going to have. And with that being said, if you're somewhere that doesn't have crops and stuff like that, you see a lot of these videos out west and other places that essentially the coyotes do live year round because it doesn't really change much. There's not a whole lot of availability for cover The crops, they don't have to worry about that out there and stuff like that. Those are still going to be a little bit closer to what they would be in the winter, proximity wise. I still think same thing, all the different deer seasons, and you talk about antelope, elk, and whatever, mule deer, stuff like that. They're still going to get a lot more pressure this time of the year than what they would otherwise. So the closer that you can get to coyotes that you know where they're at, locating them, the better you are going to be. And I promise that. Now, another thing with this, say you went out hunting and you thought you knew where they were. They howl 500 yards off. If you have the availability, as soon as you hear where those coyotes are, pick all your gear up, tripods, weapons, call, take all of it with you, cut the distance in at least half, and then start howling again. Because again, if you have that availability, proximity is going to trump everything right now. If you're what they think is another coyote and you're coming closer, you're getting more aggressive, you keep doing more and more howls and stuff like that, maybe even get into a little bit of fights, they're going to break at some point once you're close enough. As long as you have the wind in your favor, which you should ideally anyways if you're hunting that spot. I know it doesn't always work out that way, but theoretically, it should. You should be able to pick up and move. Now, I know, of course, if the property, and maybe they're on the neighbor's property or something like that, and you're as close as you can get, but I would try to set up within maybe 100 or so yards of where that breaking point might be, where you do have permission to hunt. Get as close to that as you possibly can. And I'm serious, guys. Try this. See it for yourself. You will have a lot more success. I know, guys, you hear coyotes way off, and I used to be somebody that was like, dude, I can't move. Like, they just heard me. They're going to be coming in. They're going to bust me. And I would just sit there, and this is night hunting, of course, that I'm talking about, not so much day hunting. But, again, I would think that if I tried to move up closer to them, that I would just get busted. And it's a flawed theory because you have a lot of time for them to travel that distance unless you're somewhere that's way out in the open and you are day hunting. You have a lot of distance that you can cover in a very short period of time. Just pick your stuff up as soon as you hear that they're a long ways off and move closer. And it will bring you a lot more success. The other thing is I'm going to talk about a little bit of call sequences. Another thing to think about with all these different deer seasons and stuff is the availability of food. They are being pressured. Coyotes eat every day. But now, what do they have? They have wounded deer and stuff that people get into and don't ever find. So the coyotes just come up on them. They find them. They find the gut piles, stuff like that. As deer season rolls on, we get into like the rut and stuff, which is about another month and a half out from here. Once we get in there, of course, you got a lot more roadkill than what you do this time of the year. And it just kind of progresses. So they have a bit, I would say, a larger food availability. So people that are using prey distress, I would say you can use it right now, especially places. If you are somewhere that's unpressured, you don't have to worry about humans. You've got, 4,000 acre ranch or something, crazy. I would absolutely suggest starting to throw in prey distress at this time. For a lot of other people, I think you're going to have a lot better luck still on social sounds, howls, and fights. Now, what does that mean? So, a lot of times I will start my stands off with some sort of long lone howl and see if I get an answer back. If I don't get an answer back, then I'll probably switch to another long lone howl. If I don't get an answer again, then I'll go to either a pair or a group. I use a lot of MFK sounds currently, so I'm talking about, like sister pair howl or, group answer, something like that, and try to get a spark from coyotes. If I have nothing after that, nothing at all, I am going to go into certain social sounds just to try to get something sparked up there. Again, they don't want to talk, don't do anything. Then I'll start getting into more pup stuff. So I will play a lot of pup fights still this time of the year. Even stuff that's previous. Like there's no way that pups are as young as what I'm playing. I'll be playing like 6-week-old pups fighting and stuff. Because it's got just enough right now to where they're still going to come in on it if they're close enough. And of course, if that doesn't work, then I'll roll into more aggressive sounds like actual fights. And of course, you're probably going to leave it off with maybe some sort of, pup scream, pup distress, something of that sort at the end. And that would be my primary call sequence this time of year. It does seem to help. It's very, I can't say aggressive because people think that it's aggressive, right? But realistically, right now with the family bust up and stuff, they are fighting. You know what I'm saying? So they're fighting for territory, pecking order, stuff like that, as well as the fact that coyotes howl every, not, I can't say literally every coyote howls every day, but coyotes in general howl every day. People don't think about that. They're like, well, howls are only going to work, during like breeding season or something like that. It's like they still communicate every day, guys. Same thing with prey distress. You can throw in prey distress all year round if you really wanted to, and you'll probably have some luck here and there. There's just certain times of the year that certain things work better than others. And right now, with the food availability going to start increasing rather than decreasing for here for a while, I still find that it's more productive to do a lot more coyote vocals over prey distress. Again, if you're somewhere that's completely unpressured and you have an abundance of coyotes with not a whole lot of human activity, I would absolutely start throwing in some prey distress in there, and you will find that you're going to be more successful than if somebody like me with, 5 different landowners to every country block, that you're going to have a lot more success than I would. Closing thoughts, guys. I hope that this helps. Please feel free to leave a comment what you thought, what else you might want to add in here for somebody else, and appreciate it. If you want any night vision, thermals, tripods, hunting lights, please feel free to visit my website. It's www.365thermal.shop. You want to talk about any optics or hunting tips, I'd be happy to help. Give me a call, 309-333-2044. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it next time, and thanks for watching.